From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
It's March, and that means basketball.
I've really been able to find a community and a family here.
How one university is combining a love of hoops with a love for agriculture. As floodwaters rise, California dairies are forced to move to higher ground.
So I don't know if I'm going to start this place up or call it quit and then just cut my losses.
A look at the problems they could face going forward as the Fed makes a market-moving decision when it comes to interest rates.
And their focus is trying to get the economy settled down.
What this latest announcement means for the ag economy right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The Federal Reserve is announcing another rate hike. It comes amid the collapse of some high-profile banks and still high inflation.
At today's meeting, the committee raised the target range for the federal funds rate by a quarter percentage point, bringing the target range to 4 3/4 to 5%.
The decision representing the 9th rate hike since March of last year in an effort to keep inflation in check. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us. And Michelle, there was a lot of uncertainty ahead of that announcement and the impact it would have.
Clinton, right after the last FOMC meeting, the market was already speculating that the Fed would raise rates 50 basis points in March. But then the banking crisis hit, and many experts believe that would cause the Fed to back off their efforts to curb inflation. In fact, going into the Fed meeting, the Fed fund rates were trading 90% odds of a 25 basis point hike in interest rates on Wednesday. The decision by the committee to raise rates 25 basis points puts the target range for the Fed funds rate to 4 3/4 to 5%. It signals the Federal Reserve is still on course to cool inflation down to reach their goal of 2%. However, the central bank took into consideration both the economy and the stability of the banking system, even though the inflation and other jobs data would argue for continued tightening.
And their focus is trying to get the economy settled down, and their way to do that is to make the interest rate adjustment. So they're taking their job seriously to try to do what they have to do to control the economy.
You support the banks, but at the same time, you try to control consumer spending. So you put the pain really on the consumer rather than on the banks. And the way to do that is to continue to raise the interest rate, but also to continue to provide that liquidity to those banking institutions.
A quarter point increase was already expected, and so the hope is that the risk aversion in the markets will start to subside, especially longer term.
I think that will bring in a little bit of stability into the markets. We won't see, the dollar, I think, will then start to see a little bit of a retracement again. Gold will slow down its run. We won't be seeing the safe haven runs. And I think it'll help bring some stability into the cattle markets again, too, and help try to prop that market back up again as we continue to see extremely tight supplies.
Seifert says the Fed decision will set the tone for interest rate and monetary policy and the trajectory of the economy for the next 3, maybe even 6 months. Inflation is a problem worldwide, and in comparison, the UK clocked in this week with higher than expected inflation of 10.4%. However, even with the banking concerns in Europe, the European Central Bank raised rates 50 basis points.
All right, thanks, Michelle. $336 million. That's a preliminary estimate of January ag losses to one California county following a series of atmospheric river storms. The storms have caused damage to ag in Tulare, Monterey, and Humboldt counties. The executive director of the Monterey County Farm Bureau says this month's damages from more storms just in his county could top that January number. And the waters keep rising, forcing some dairy farmers in Tulare County, California, to move their operations to higher ground. Rich Rodriguez of AgDay affiliate KMPH shows us what it took to move thousands of cows and what it can mean for feeding them in the future.
6 days ago, a levee broke on the river 5 miles upstream from Nick Coote's dairy farm in Tulare. He thought it was too far away to impact his dairy.
Come Thursday, this whole place was underwater. I was worried the cows were all going to drown. So we made the decision to get a bunch of trucks, friends, family, we were able to haul all the cows off.
Coote says it took 2 days to move 1,200 cows to his father-in-law's, his cousins, and another place that takes farm animals. Flooding at the Mendonça Dairy in Tulare forced them to evacuate the herd.
We had to evacuate about 1,000 head that were on the lower part of the dairy. So We did that by having a bunch of trailers come in, and we took some to our neighbors that were up higher ground.
Dairymen grow various crops to feed their cows. Right now, these two say it doesn't look good.
Our crops of wheat right now, some of them, they might survive. The ones that took the blunt of the water, where it was basically a river running right through it.
If these fields don't yield or they all die, I'm in trouble feeding the cows in the future. So I don't know if I'm going to start this place up or call it quit and then just cut my losses.
The Tulare County Farm Bureau is connecting the ag community with information and resources.
Many dairies have had their feed damaged. So there is a variety of challenges with replacing silage and getting alfalfa, onto some of the replacement locations.
Moving cows to higher ground has been priority number one for Coot and Mendonça. They say when the storms pass, they'll size up their losses and see how they overcome the flood of 2023.
Now, some good news for California as damaging winds and heavy rain leave the area. But heavy rain is on the way for the central U.S. Meteorologist Chuck Heaver joins us with more on that.
Well, our biggest concern is the severe weather opportunity that will run literally from the Mexico-Texas border all the way up into central Indiana, Dallas Metro in a several severe storm potential zone. And then that moves off to the east on Friday. Areas like Memphis, Jackson, Shreveport are looking at a potential for some severe weather as well. And that's all in association with these storms here that you could see in a frontal boundary. And those are the storms south of St. Louis, off into the western side of Dallas, all pushing to the east. And that will continue as the day pushes along Friday and even into the early morning hours on Saturday. And take a look at this. Jim Lumsden of Strathroy, Ontario, saying that they are now in their 7th week producing maple syrup in southern Ontario. I bet that tastes awesome on a stack of flapjacks. Okay, I'll have your forecast coming up.
And it's not just rain, but snow in California. So just how much snow has the Sierra Mountains seen so far this season? Well, the UC Berkeley Central Sierra Snow Lab sharing this graphic. It reports this season has passed 1982, 1983 as the second snowiest season on record. And it's been keeping those records since 1946. As you can see, there's still a ways to go to top the record set back in 1952. Now, heavy snow in the Sierra Nevada has brought the total snowpack levels to 219% of normal. Better weather in South America and falling meal prices dragging soybeans lower on Wednesday. We'll have details next in analysis. And later, students in the volunteer state are learning about careers in ag with a little help from the game of basketball in the country.
AgDay is sponsored by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels, perfected in conventional, excels in no-till. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package.
Farmland values in Nebraska are now at historic levels. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln putting out its farm real estate market survey. It puts a statewide average at over $3,800 per acre. You can see an area breakdown there on your screen. Now that's up 14% from last year, and that increase is on top of last year's 16% increase. Researchers say it marks the second largest increase in the market value of ag land in Nebraska since 2014. It's also the highest non-inflation adjusted statewide land value in the 45-year history of that survey. Now, the survey says the rise is due to higher commodity prices, purchases for operation expansion, favorable financial situations, and an increase in buyers acquiring land as a hedge against inflation. Soybeans midweek trading at their lowest level since early December, led lower by meal futures on prospects of improving weather in South America. Shel Rook is back with this analysis of markets now.
Wednesday was a down day in all but old crop corn. Don Rose with U.S. Commodities joining us. And some of the pressure that we saw in a lot of the commodities, Don, was kind of tied to anticipation of the Fed announcement. We know what that is, a quarter point. Now, can we go back to trading some fundamentals or not?
Well, I think most definitely it's been a risk-off type trade. We've got the soybeans that are caught long yet, long liquidation there, and then the corn market caught short for the first time in 2 years. So I think we are. We're back to looking at the fundamentals, and that means Brazil still has a wide basis, $1.50 cheaper than us. And the upfront corn, China underneath the market buying, so we reached some support there, Michelle.
So we have had a technical breakdown now in soybeans getting below the 100 and now the 200-day moving average. So do you anticipate a lot more liquidation as a result?
Well, I think when you look at it with the big drought that we had in Argentina, we should be finding once we can get this Brazil crop tucked away, we should get some fundamental buying start to show up again. So I would say we've taken an awful lot of risk premium out of the market, Michelle, and we've got a long way to go before we get a crop here. And that's going to be the big watch going forward is what's the weather look like, what do the acres look like, and the acre mix. So I would say we've got enough of the risk premium out of the market for right now.
And corn held up well despite the fact that we had wheat and soybeans lower. So the corn market is getting a bit under it just because we've seen that export demand from China?
Well, most definitely. You know, China's been underneath the market here for 6 out of 7 days. They've been underneath the market buying corn. That's a big support. When you look at new crop corn, I mean, it went under that all-important 550 mark. That means we don't have a lot of risk premium in the market there also going into the springtime, Michelle. So I think it's one of those, before you can go up, though, you have to quit going down. So we'll see if we can stabilize here at these oversold values in the market.
Yeah, and the funds, as you mentioned, have really started to push short. Do they continue to do that or not, Don?
Well, you know, it's unusual for the funds to be short wheat over 100,000 contracts, corn over 50,000, probably close to 60,000 contracts going into spring. So I think it's going to be unusual, Michelle.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Don Rose, U.S. Commodities. We'll have more Ag Day coming up.
For all your risk management and trading needs, call one of the U.S. Commodities specialists at 800-247-4071.
Ag Day is brought to you by Lamar's Toy Store, the largest and most diversified farm toy store in the U.S. They have new and old and do restorations and customizations too. You need to see it to believe it. Visit lamarstoystore.com or call us at 712-546-4305.
Meteorologist Chuck Heaver joining us here, taking a look at our national forecast. And Chuck, one thing that we're keeping a close eye on is some potential severe weather down there in the southeast.
Yeah, really in the southeast from Texas, and then it migrates over to the Gulf Coast states on Friday. So yeah, something we're going to have to watch. And all right, let's head up in the jet stream and take a look at where the storms are headed today. And we have a trough out to the west, and in that trough we're going to get a low pressure forming and moving up through the center part of the country. Simultaneously, cooler air on the backside with that, but it's going to drag the cold front across the country as well. And with that, we'll have an opportunity for some severe weather down in Texas and over into the Gulf Coast states. Taking a look at future radar, you can see this batch of precipitation pushing through the upper Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, but this is the frontal boundary I'm talking about. And you see those storms fire up along there on Friday and into Saturday, so you're going to have an opportunity for severe weather further to the west on Thursday over in the Dallas metro area, and then that slides off to the east again over towards Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, in that line of storms I just showed you. So you want to watch for that Thursday, and then this is Friday here again in the southeast. The precipitation forecast shows lots of precipitation underneath those thunderstorms, and again right along the boundary here where that storm is scheduled to go. And then on the northern side of that, where there's colder air in place, we're even going to see some snowfall to the northwest of Chicago and in the upper peninsula of Michigan. So there you go in terms of precipitation. Let's take a look at temperatures. Chicago, you're looking at 41 today, 82 down in Dallas, and off to the southeast in Miami, 83 degrees. So you have to go far south to get into that warmer air. Here's temperatures tonight. Bismarck at 10, and look at Phoenix, 47 degrees. It's been a chilly season there this year, but we're going to warm up again down in the southeast. Wilmington at 84 and New Orleans at 87. All right, let's go closer to home to our first spot. This is in Hamlettsburg, Illinois, all the way down at the tip. Showers 72 and 57. Tucson, Arizona, sunny 67, a low of 47, and New Springfield, Ohio, showers, a high 62 and low 35.
The 2023 Bracket Busters Challenge, presented by Case IH, is underway. Who's still in the game? To find out, head to AgWeb now through April 3rd to check the leaderboard.
Futures are dragging cash cattle down right now. A new Sterling beef profit tracker shows they're down $1.30 per hundredweight at $164.25, but average cattle feeding margins declined by $21 per head to $194. Now packer margins also falling $20 to an average of $57 per head, while wholesale beef prices also down $2.11 per hundredweight to $283.13. Drover says cattle feeders in the north have experienced dismal winter feeding conditions, which slowed cattle performance and eroded margins. Now, Argentina is exporting its first shipment of beef to Mexico. It comes after more than a decade of talks to open the Mexican market. Argentine meat packer Ara Beef exported 1 metric ton of different beef cuts. Argentina's Ag Secretariat adding another 21 meat exporters were licensed to ship to Mexico. Argentina says it now has available the markets of Canada, the U.S., and now Mexico, calling it a very important block for the country and the industry. So how do college hoops and careers in agriculture fit together? We'll look at the connection between sports and ag ed from Tennessee next.
In the Country on Ag Day is brought to you by Pivot Bio. What if you had the nitrogen you need already on seed? Pivot Bio is the first company to apply nitrogen on seed. The nitrogen you need, now on seed, from Pivot Bio. Learn more at pivotbio.com.
It's an exciting time for college basketball fans with the NCAA tournament underway. And as Charles Denny of the University of Tennessee reports, some students are experiencing big-time hoops, and part of their experience includes lessons about careers in agriculture.
Heavyweights in hoops, a matchup of 2 top 10 teams, the Tennessee Volunteers and Alabama Crimson Tide, both having great seasons. When the two teams met recently in Knoxville's Thompson Bowling Arena, the 21,000 fans included this group, kids and their parents who were part of UT Youth Ag Night. More than 500 young people were at the game, all with an interest in basketball and agriculture.
I do. I've taken ag every year in high school and I've loved it. At first I went through agri-science. I've completed all those. I have my career cluster in that, and now I'm finishing up my career cluster in ag mechanics now.
Yes, I would love to someday be an agricultural entomologist and help find environmentally friendly solutions to pest problems.
Before tip-off, the group got a total UT experience. They toured Neyland Stadium, checking out the view from the new party deck. They also got to hang out in the football locker room and take photos there and in the media center. Then later in the afternoon, the group heard a panel discussion, professionals who are working in various careers in agriculture. The Tennessee Farm Co-op and Tennessee Farm Bureau Federation organizes Youth Ag Night.
And with the panel speakers here, we try to get people from different industries that connect to ag. So I think it helps them realize that even though they may not be a 4th generation farmer, that there's ways that they can still be involved.
Farm Bureau has been doing these events since 2016, reaching thousands of kids in that time. They've also done this with the Nashville Predators, the Nashville Sounds, and the Memphis Grizzlies.
The kids also learned that you can study some 9 different areas of ag at UTIA's Herbert College of Agriculture. They heard from deans and students with an invitation to join them.
Herbert has, it's got a place for everybody. It doesn't matter, what you're interested in. Agriculture is in everything that we do.
I've really been able to find a community and a family here, both with students of ag backgrounds and ones of not.
It was a good night to be a volunteer, with Tennessee upsetting #1 Alabama. And other winners here too. A great combination, big-time college basketball and agriculture. It's a chance for young people to consider their future and maybe take their shot. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles. And did you know basketball has a historic tie to agriculture? James Naismith invented the game back in 1892 at a YMCA in Massachusetts. Now, he nailed a peach basket to a wall and had the players try to toss a ball into it. Now, eventually, he figured out to cut the bottom out of the basket and speed up the game. Pretty smart. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day in farm country.
Closed captioning on AgDay is brought to you by BASF, helping you do the biggest job on Earth.